Space should have been silent. Instead, it cried. The Terran Deep Patrol Cutter TDS Vanguard drifted past Neptune's blue shadow, its sensors locked on the impossible. An unidentified vessel, cold, tumbling, and bleeding faint distress signals like a dying animal. Lieutenant Arya Kasim stared at the readings. Admiral, this ship shouldn't be here. No warp signature, no registration. It's built from alloys we've never catalogued. On the main display, the vessel rotated slowly. Plates were welded on top of plates, rusted, scarred, blistered from weapons fire. A tangle of cables and antennae stretched off it like thorns. A grave drifting through the dark. Admiral Sarah Morgan narrowed her eyes. Bring us in. Weapons hot. Boarding teams ready. No one questioned her tone. Something about that ship felt wrong. Predatory. The Vanguard eased toward the derelict, floodlights cutting across its hull. And then the first symbol became visible, an alien sigil burned into metal. Sergeant Cole Ramirez felt his stomach twist. That's Crexian script, but the old kind. The illegal kind. The room fell silent. Old Crexian script had only been seen twice, both from vessels seized in interstellar slave trade busts. Morgan stood. Marines, suit up. We're boarding. The barge. The airlock sealed behind the boarding team with a metallic thud. Darkness swallowed them. Helmet lights snapped on, beams slicing through floating debris, shredded cloth, cracked containers, dangling restraints. A low, mechanical hum vibrated through the metal, something failing deep within the ship. Private Juno whispered, "This place feels haunted." Ramirez checked life readings. Multiple biosigns up ahead. Weak. Very weak. The corridor made them walk single file. Narrow. Damp. The walls were streaked with dried fluids that no one wanted to identify. Then they reached the first door. Juno pried it open. And screamed. Inside were cages. Small ones. Made for bodies less than 4 feet tall. Some were shattered. Others still locked. Faint breathing and soft whimpers drifted out. Hands, tiny hands, clawed weakly toward the Marine's light. Kasim's voice cracked over the comm. "Oh my God!" Ramirez forced himself forward. "Easy, easy, you're safe now. We're humans. Terran military." He didn't even know if they understood. He only knew they were children. Human children. Every Marine froze. Fury spread through them like fire catching oil. One of the kids collapsed against the bars, reaching out with a trembling hand. A shock collar blinked around his throat. Admiral Morgan's voice came through the radios like iron. "Hold position. I'm coming down." The child who spoke. Morgan arrived moments later, boots echoing. When she saw the cages, her expression didn't change, but her eyes did. They sharpened into something primal. She knelt by the smallest cage, where a boy no older than 8 lay curled, barely conscious. "Hey," she whispered softly. "You're safe. We're from Earth. Can you hear me?" The boy's eyelids fluttered. He tried to speak, but only a rasp came out. A medic rushed forward with water and injected stabilizers. The boy swallowed with difficulty, then clutched Morgan's sleeve. Help." His voice was barely breath. They took us." Morgan leaned closer. "From where?" He tried again. "From home." A cold silence swept through the team. Ramirez whispered, "Home? Earth?" "He means Earth." The boy nodded weakly. Morgan's blood ran cold. "Who took you?" she asked. The child's eyes widened with remembered terror. He lifted a shaking hand and pointed deeper into the ship. Down there." His whisper cracked. "They have more. Not just us, thousands, millions." His body went limp as medics caught him. Morgan stood slowly. Every muscle in her face was carved from stone. "Marines," she said quietly. "Move." The pit. What they found next would change humanity forever. Pit. Rows of them. Cages stacked to the ceiling. Restraint chairs with dried blood. Shock circuits. Broken toys. Alien lab equipment tuned to frequencies meant to induce fear. And dozens more children, human and alien, barely alive. Ramirez ripped off a broken shock collar and hurled it against the wall so hard it shattered. Juno sobbed openly. They took kids, they took our kids. Morgan touched her calm. Bridge. Broadcast to Earth Command. Priority Omega. She looked at the hell around her. We found abducted human children. Repeat, human children. There was a long silence on the other side. Then a single reply. Understood. Earth reacts. Back on Earth, the footage hit every screen within minute. Parents screamed. Nations froze. The Global Council declared an immediate state of war. Riots broke out, people demanding blood. Not diplomacy. Not negotiation. Retribution. The President of Earth spoke only 5 words. Bring our children home. All of them. The decision. Morgan returned to the Vanguard's bridge, her armor still streaked with grime and sorrow. Admiral, Kasim said softly, what do we do now? Morgan stared into the void where the barge had drifted. Her voice was a razor. We find who did this. She turned. And then we burn their galaxy down. Earth had always dreamed of unity. It had never achieved it, not for peace, not for prosperity. But for the stolen children? Humanity united in 6 hours. The day the sky turned red. Across the world, shipyards roared awake. The orbital platforms over Luna bled flame as construction thrusters fired to full burn. Hundreds of scaffolds lit up like stars igniting. Welding drones stitched armor plating in swarms. Entire cities pivoted their industries overnight. Every screen replayed the same broadcast. The cages, the shock collars, the malnourished children huddled in the dark. People didn't argue. They didn't debate. They acted. Lines of volunteers wrapped around military recruitment centers, every face carrying the same expression, rage buried under discipline. The Terran Strategic Council announced a single directive. Operation Iron Halo. Objective: find every abducted human child. Destroy any who stand in the way. Admiral Sarah Morgan was chosen to command the retaliation. Not because she was the best tactician. Not because she had experience in off-world conflict. But because when she looked at the cages, she didn't flinch. She hardened. Building the retaliation fleet. On the shipyard deck of Armstrong Orbital, Morgan walked beneath the newborn colossus of war. TSV Lion of Terra. 3.2 kilometers long. Triple spinal plasma lances. Armor thick enough to shrug off orbital bombardment. Reactor core output classified. Crew 42,000. The workers paused as she passed. They didn't salute. They simply nodded, like blacksmiths acknowledging a warrior about to wield their finest blade. Behind her, 9 more supercarriers were under construction. Thousands of escort destroyers and cruisers waited in shimmering rows, each bearing the Terran sigil, a hand lifting a child, surrounded by fire. Humanity's message was carved into the Lion's prow. For the stolen. The data core. The slave barge's cracked memory core was processed inside a sealed intelligence vault. Technicians worked in silence, until a scream cut the room. Sir, look at this. Morgan arrived moments later. Projected before her were endless lists. Each line a designation. HSAP CH 014322. HSAP CH 014323. HSAP CH 014324. Every code linked to document scans. Photos of human children, ages 4 to 15. Ramirez clenched his jaw. They catalogued them like livestock. Morgan didn't speak. She scrolled. Then the category changed. Long-term behavioral modification, Homo sapiens. Status: ongoing on multiple facilities. A coldness swept through the room. Not fear. Not horror. The kind of cold that comes before a storm. Morgan whispered. They experimented on them. The technician swallowed. And Admiral, there's more. He opened another file. A galaxy map appeared, dozens of red pins glowing. Each pin represented a trafficking route. Hundreds, thousands. Crossing systems humanity had never even heard of. Morgan stared at the map like a predator stalking prey. Upload every route, she ordered. Prepare target list. All of them. The galaxy trembles. In the distant halls of the Galactic Council, envoys clustered around a trembling holofeed showing the Terran shipyards. Hellion Ambassador. The humans are mobilizing. Full war footing. Drox High Speaker. They will calm down. They're emotional primitives. Then a second feed came in, this time of Earth's global broadcast. Every human leader, united behind one declaration. We will retrieve our children. We will erase those who took them. The chamber fell silent. Kelleran analyst. You idiots, they mean it. Humans don't bluff. Drox Speaker. So what? They cannot challenge the entire Council alliance. The analyst zoomed in on the Terran fleet projections. Projected growth. Plus 300% in 30 days. Plus 850% in 90 days. The Drox Speaker's voice cracked. That's impossible. No, the analyst said softly. It's human. Ghost Team Bravo. Deep in an underground bunker, a different kind of preparation took place. 12 soldiers stood in black armor, visors down, silent as statues. Ghost Team Bravo. Earth's unrestricted response special ops unit. Each soldier carried neural sync HUD, cupulse breaching charges, silent grav boot, trauma blankets for recovered children, execution authority without oversight. Their commander, Captain Idris Vale, locked his helmet on. What are our orders? He asked. Morgan faced them through the briefing room glass. Simple, she said. Bring our children home. Vale nodded. And the slavers? Her answer was ice. Erase them. Earth's final declaration. By the end of the first week, the full Terran retaliation fleet assembled over Luna. Millions watched from Earth as the fleet shimmered against the void, the largest military force humanity had ever built. Morgan addressed them all. This is not a campaign of conquest. This is not a war of expansion. This is a rescue mission. She paused. And a reckoning. Her eyes hardened to steel. To those who stole our children. We are coming. The launch. Engines ignited. Lunar dust rose in glowing plumes as thousands of ships activated warp drives. The Lion of Terra loomed at the center, radiant like a burning sun. Morgan gave the final order. Retaliation fleet, engage warp. Space folded, and the stars swallowed them. Humanity left the Sol system not as explorers, but as avenging angels. End of Chapter 2. Warp trails tore open the void like wounds bleeding white fire. The Terran retaliation fleet emerged around the first target world, a minor slaver nexus orbiting a red dwarf star. A place no human had ever heard of. A place that had traded their children like livestock. On the bridge of the TSV Lion of Terra, Admiral Sarah Morgan stood expressionless as the planet rotated below them, metallic cities spiderwebbed across its ashen surface. Ramirez swallowed. Orders, Admiral? Morgan didn't blink. No hails. No warnings. No diplomacy. The bridge crew stiffened. Target their orbital shipyards, she continued. Then burn the surface armories. Leave their comms intact. The galaxy needs to witness this. Aye. The gunnery officer grinned grimly. Fire controls online. Humanity's first strike in the war for the stolen children began. The first slaughter. 3,000 Terran ships moved as one. Rail cannons roared. Plasma lances ignited. Missiles streaked down like meteors. The slaver world's orbital platforms disappeared in white suns of fire. Craters bloomed across the surface as entire military districts evaporated. City shields flared, overloaded, and imploded into dust. Within minutes, half the planet's defense grid was gone. On the surface, panic erupted. Syndicate commanders screamed into their comms. Identify the attackers. Who are they? What species? What do they want? The reply came when the Lion of Terra broadcast a message across all frequencies. A single sentence. "We have come for our children." Silence followed. Then terror. No mercy. Airlocks opened. Dropships launched. Ghost Team Bravo spearheaded the ground assault, their grav boots whispering across shattered street. Slaver soldiers fired from rooftops, but Bravo's black-armored silhouettes moved like shadows, silent, precise, unstoppable. Captain Idris Vale lifted his rifle. Left alley. 3 slavers lunged forward. 3 silencers whispered. 3 bodies dropped. The team breached the central processing facility. Vale's heart tore when he saw the cages. Rows of them. Again. Different species, different ages. Some terrified, some unconscious, some staring blankly at the floor. A human girl no older than 7 clutched the bars. "Are you from Earth?" Vale knelt. "Yes," he said softly. "We're here to take you home." She burst into tears, the first real emotion she'd shown in months. "Everyone," Vale ordered, "get the children out. Every species. Every one of them." Bravo moved, carrying, lifting, wrapping them in thermal blankets, their weapons never lowering. A slaver scientist stumbled out of a doorway, hands shaking. "I surrender." He dropped to his knees. "I had no choice, they forced us." Vale walked past him without slowing. "Captain?" Juno asked. Vale's visor stayed cold. "He worked here." A single suppressed shot ended the argument. Bravo kept moving. The panic spreads. Across the galaxy, slaver networks burned. Encrypted channels buzzed with horror. Transmission, Sector 14. Human warfleet detected. They destroyed Croth Prime in minutes. Transmission, Shadowweave Cartel. They're targeting children's markets. Evacuate the vaults. Transmission, unknown source. They don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. They don't stop. Fear spread faster than warp drives. The Galactic Council convenes. The High Chamber's 100 species gathered in a frenzy. For the first time in its history, the Council Hall felt small. The Hellion ambassador slammed a tendril on the table. "We must open communications with them. Humans cannot be permitted to wage unilateral war." A Drox general scoffed. "They're primitives. Their technology lags behind our." The chamber doors burst open. A courier stumbled inside, panting. "Counselors, 'tis the humans, just destroyed a Class A fortress world." The general choked. "That's impossible. A Class A fortress can withstand." A holofeed activated, showing the broken husk of a heavily shielded planet. No shield. No defenses. Just smoking continents. Whispers filled the chamber. "Humans did this? With primitive weapons? No, they adapt too fast, they made new ones. They are coming for all of us." The Kelleran analyst spoke softly. "We warned you. Humans unify under threat. Especially threats to their young." The Drox general hissed. "So they want war?" "No," the analyst replied. "They want their children. War is simply the cost." The message that changed everything. After countless slaver worlds fell, the Terran fleet transmitted a new broadcast, galaxy-wide. Admiral Morgan's face appeared, backlit by the glow of burning starships behind her. Her voice carried the weight of a judgment older than civilization. "To every government, syndicate, and species in the galaxy. Return every abducted child in your custody, human or otherwise. You have 7 days." She leaned closer to the camera. "After that, we will take them. And we will take your worlds with them." Then the transmission cut. The galaxy trembled. The slaver admiral's plea. On the distant world of Nkether, a slaver fleet admiral, pale with fear, sent a message on an open channel. "We are willing to negotiate. We surrender unconditionally. Please, stop the assault." The Lion of Terra intercepted the signal. Morgan gave a single word in response. "Denied." And the Nkether fleet died screaming. The legend begins. By the time the retaliation fleet moved to its next target, The galaxy had already named humanity. Not Terrans. Not humans. They called them the Child-Taker's Bane. The Black Sun. The Guardians made of fire. The species you never provoke. And the children rescued from the slaver worlds whispered something else. They came for us. The humans came. The slaver capital of Clath Prime had never fallen. Its shields had repelled asteroid strikes. Its planetary guns could shred fleet. Its armies were bred, engineered, for conquest. For centuries, it had been the heart of the galactic slave machine. Now, it was surrounded by a ring of Terran fire. The retaliation fleet unfolded from warp, ships burning like newborn stars as they assumed formation. On the bridge of the TSV Lion of Terra, Admiral Sarah Morgan stared at the world below, rings of metallic cities, fortress continents, shipyards that stretched for miles. Kasim whispered, "So this is where they took them, all these years." Morgan's eyes were steel. "No. This is where they end. The siege of Clath Prime." "Fleet-wide command," Morgan ordered. "Prepare for total system annihilation." A quiet dread filled the bridge crew. This wasn't a battle. It wasn't justice. It was execution. The slaver planet screamed its alarms as thousands of Terran ships descended. The planetary shield flared to life, a shimmering dome covering half a continent. Sensor Officer Huang blinked. "Admiral, that shield is beyond anything we've seen. No conventional fire will crack it." "Good," Morgan said. "Because we're not using conventional fire." She turned to gunnery. "Prime the Soul Hammer array." The bridge went still. The Soul Hammer, humanity's newest weapon, had never been used. A ship killer. A station killer. A continent killer. And the first time it would fire would be here. On the slaver capital. "Charge output at 60%, gunnery said. "Structural integrity, questionable at higher loads." "Push it to 90, Morgan said. "Admiral! We're ending this war. Today." The array spun. Energy built. The Lion of Terra groaned, metal bending under the scale of wrath it was about to deliver. Morgan raised her hand. "Fire!" A column of burning white light, the width of a mountain, lanced downward. The planet's shield resisted for half a heartbeat. Then it shattered like glass. The beam carved a glowing wound across the surface of Clath Prime, vaporizing cities, shipyards, and armies in a single, wrathful breath. The slaver capital had survived 1,000 wars. It did not survive humanity. Entering the nightmare. With the shield down, the Marines descended. Ghost Team Bravo landed at the central spire. The Warden Citadel, the administrative heart of galactic slavery. The doors were 3 meters thick. Bravo blew them inward with a single detonation. Captain Idris Vale led his soldiers through the smoke-filled corridors. Alien guards fired and died within seconds. Bravo moved like death wearing black armor, silent, relentless, pitiless. They reached the lower vaults. Juno froze. What is this place?" Hundreds of pods lined the walls. Biotanks, cages, cryocapsules. Each one held children, human, alien, fused experiments of both. Some with mechanical limbs. Some with surgical scars. Some awake, sobbing silently through clear glass. A holographic interface flickered alive. Behavioral Reformation Complex. Warden Priority Lab. Vale's fists tightened. These monsters, they were shaping them. Breaking them. One pod in particular made him stop. Inside a small human boy was strapped to a neural rig, wires sunk into his skull. His body trembled with every pulse of the machinery. Ramirez smashed the console with the butt of his rifle. The entire team started ripping equipment apart, smashing pods open, dragging children out while medics rushed to stabilize them. One alien caretaker crawled out of a corner, hands raised. Please. I am only a technic." Vale shot him without slowing. Bravo wasn't here for captors. Only for victims. The High Warden. At the top of the Citadel, surrounded by burning halls, Admiral Morgan finally confronted the architect of the galaxy's greatest sin. High Warden Clar, master of the Crexian slaver syndicates. He was taller than any human, armored in ceremonial carapace, his 4 eyes terrified as Morgan approached through the smoke. You, he hissed, voice trembling, are but a primitive race. Your kind breeds like vermin, you are livestock to us. This is commerce. Nothing more. Morgan stopped 3 meters away. Her expression didn't change. But her voice? It was colder than vacuum. You stole our children. You tortured them. You experimented on them. And you call it commerce. She stepped closer. Clar backed away, claws scraping the floor. What do you want? He begged. Compensation? Territory? A treaty? Morgan leaned in so close he could feel her breath. No, she whispered. I want you to see your legacy burn. She drove her combat knife into his throat. He collapsed, twitching, choking on his own blood. Morgan wiped the blade clean on his cloak, then activated her comm. Fleet, she said, this is Morgan. Her voice carried through every Terran ship. Burn Clath Prime to the bedrock. The planet dies. The fleet obeyed. Orbital lances split atmospheric layers. Bombardment cannons thundered. Thermal warheads melted oceans into steam. Shock waves flattened continents. Clath Prime, the world that had stolen millions of children across millennia, was reduced to a molten sphere of ruin. A genocide of slavers. A cleansing fire. A warning to the galaxy. The broadcast that shattered the galaxy. After the last structure fell, Morgan issued a new transmission, broadcast through every relay, pirate channel, and shadow network. Her face again filled the screens of 1,000 worlds. Listen carefully, she said quietly. We destroyed the slaver capital today. Silence. Return every child, human or alien, every stolen life, every victim of your commerce. She leaned forward. You have one choice. Bring them home, or watch your sons die. And then she ended the transmission. Across the galaxy, billions trembled. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the slave markets went silent. The stars burned with war. Not metaphorically, several of them were literally burning. The Terran retaliation fleet drifted in silent formation above the shattered remains of Kveros, the last of the slaver strongholds. The planet's crust still glowed like a dying forge, rivers of molten rock scoring its surface like open wounds. Admiral Sarah Morgan stood at the command platform of the TSS Vindicator, watching the aftermath with eyes that felt older than she remembered. Status, she said. Slaver defenses neutralized. Ghost Team Bravo has secured the final vault, her XO replied. They found thousands, Admiral. Children. Human and non-human. Morgan closed her eyes. Another wound that would never fully heal. Another reason they could not stop now. The High Warden begs. Across the bridge, the hololink flickered to life. A trembling, panicked alien appeared. High Warden Clar, ruler of the Syndicate Lords and architect of the child trafficking machine that had operated for centuries. He bowed deeply, pathetically. Human Admiral, he croaked. This has gone too far. My people cannot withstand your attacks. I offer surrender. Morgan didn't look at him. She simply said, You had your chance to surrender when we asked politely. Clara's throat sacs quivered. We didn't know, your species was never meant to. Morgan turned her head slowly, eyes hard as the hull plating around her. Never meant to fight back? Never meant to matter? Never meant to protect our own? The alien flinched at every word. The message heard by 1 billion worlds. Admiral, the comms officer called out. Broadcast channels are open. Every major sector is listening. Morgan faced the forward viewport, as the burning hulk of Kveros rotated beneath them like a colossal funeral pyre. Good, she said. She stepped forward and spoke, not to Clar, but to the entire galaxy. This is Admiral Sarah Morgan of the Terran Retaliation Fleet. We have found the stolen children. We have seen what was done to them. Hear this. Return every abducted child, human or otherwise. all of them, or we will come for you, and we will burn your stars just the same." Silence followed, a silence that stretched across light years. The flood of the returned. It began as a trickle, a few ships uncloaking, a few slaver captains surrendering their inventory, a handful of terrified children delivered in escape pods, drifting toward Terran space with crude distress beacons. Then more came. Dozens. Hundreds. Thousands. The galaxy had believed humans were soft, naive, negotiable. Now they understood the truth. Humanity would scour the stars clean before letting harm come to a single child. Even alien governments, once indifferent, now turned on the slavers. Fear of humanity had become a universal motivator. Billions of abductees, some stolen long before Earth's first satellites, were freed. Hospitals overflowed. Refugee stations swelled. And humanity, bruised but unbroken, cared for every single one. The child who started it all. On the medical deck of the Vindicator, Eli, the boy found on the slave barge, the child who had ignited Earth's rage, stood before Morgan, clutching a stuffed toy someone had given him. "Ma'am?" he asked softly. She knelt down. "Yes, Eli. It's over." Morgan looked at him. Behind her, through the window, Kveros burned. "No," she said gently. "But you're safe now. And you will never be taken again." Eli nodded, then leaned forward and hugged her. For a moment, the first in weeks, Morgan let herself feel something other than fury. A new order among the stars. As the Terran fleet prepared to leave orbit, the Galactic Council issued a single declaration. Humanity is to be left unharmed. Humanity is to be respected. Humanity is to be feared. And whispered behind closed doors, in thousands of languages, "Do not take human children. Do not provoke the Terrans. They will burn your worlds." Humanity had earned a new reputation, one carved into the bones of dying worlds. Not conquerors, not tyrants, but the most terrifying force in the galaxy. A species that protects its children with fire and vengeance.